So I came here in the mid 80s, kind of as a sportsman, you know, for some hunting possibilities. Just about anybody that stays here, they visit first, and it gets in their blood, and they end up making this their home. And I was one of them. I was a young snowbird. A lot of people wonder what AJI stands for. It's actually AJ Imports. Since all of our licensing was in that, we kept the name. We then got our gun license, and I left the business for a while, went to work in food distribution, and came back and started up the gun business and was able to do it the way I wanted, and turned the business into the highest volume gun shop in all of Arizona. We're not the most profitable or the biggest or richest, but just for guns in and guns out, we do more than anybody in the state. That's per ATF. So I actually ended up running for council because of a gun-related issue. The city didn't have a policy on disposing of firearms that they acquired from traffic stops and seizures and things like that. When I brought this to light, some people said, "Hey, Mr. Surdy, you need to run for council." So I ran and I won, and I've never lost an election since. If you'd have told me 15 years ago that I was going to be on a city councilman or be the mayor, I would have laughed.
When we moved here in 1990, my wife wanted to find property. I'd retired from the Air Force. We wanted to find a location where she could have horses. We started looking in Apache Junction because we came down here and visited my grandparents in 1979. Once we found this property, my wife's the one that found it, and she says, "I found the house we want." We were contacted by several of our horse friends. An individual that was complaining about horse property next door to him here in the large lot area. Was going before City Council, trying to get City Council to make changes to the rules for horses. I, and along with about 40 other people, showed up at the old facilities there. We had better than 100 people show up, all told. In fact, it was so packed that we couldn't even be inside, we were outside. Got heavily involved in that, and I made a decision. Someone needs to be sitting up there on council that is familiar with the horses and horse rights. And so I decided to run for office at that time, which is now over 12 years ago.
My name is Robin Barker, and I'm a city council person. Just before my last semester, I got an invitation to intern at the House of Representatives. And I was very fortunate inasmuch as the Speaker of the House at that time, Art Hamilton, decided that he wanted me to be his intern, which meant that I got to do a lot of stuff with the caucus. I got to analyze bills, etc. And that's what first got me involved in any kind of politics at all. My husband ran the newspaper for 20 years. He did a marvelous job of it. He knew exactly what he was doing. I have an incredible crew of people. They know exactly what they're doing, they know exactly how to do it, and they certainly don't need me interfering with that. Working on the council has been fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I've worked with so many different councils. Some councils click, and that's really the best council to be on. And if you're not on one that clicks, you just fight your way through it as best you can and hope for the best.
My name is Gail Evans, and I am on City Council now. I was just re-elected. This will be my 7th year. As I sat in the audience and listened to the questions and the statements that were being made by my fellow horse people, but with my real estate background, they really weren't asking the right questions. So sitting there that night, I just made up my mind, I have got to try to be a horse person on planning and zoning. After 6 years on planning and zoning, I was in a point of frustration with how things were going. My husband and I were talking one night, and he goes, you know, Clark's leaving, you really should apply for his vacancy. I finally agreed to go ahead and put in the application for the appointment. I was appointed for 1 year, and then I ran for election and won in that next term. I said, you know, I've never imagined myself in a political setting. I just didn't. And I never thought that I would even enjoy it.
So my name is Krista Rizzi, and I serve on our Apache Junction City Council. I was first elected in 2013, and I was recently elected to a second term. There were some different things going on in the city that I wanted to maybe bring change to, or at least help. And so I got involved by taking the Citizens Leadership Institute, which was an amazing class. I never expected that I would run for city council. I just wanted to learn more about how city government works, what the city council does, what boards do, what our boards and commissions do. It was so interesting, and I learned so much from it, that I wanted to help out by serving on boards. When I served on the planning and zoning, that really prepared me the best for serving on city council. A lot of our recommendations go to the city council. We work on a lot of the same things, we side by side, and so planning and zoning definitely was something that helped prepare for the city council for sure.
My name is Robert Schroeder. I'm owner-operator of three-phase mechanical air conditioning here in Apache Junction. I've owned this business for 10 years now, and I've been involved with the city for the past 8. 7 years ago by now, there was an article in the paper about a current council member who had left the city limits, moved out of town, therefore he lost his seat on the council, and there had to be an appointment. I felt, okay, this is written for me. So I went and applied and filled out the paperwork and sat in the audience as they were conducting the interviews. I realized that there were many, many people more qualified for this position than I was. And sure enough, someone who was more qualified got appointed. But what that did was that injected me into a process. For some reason, I'm this passionate about it. So I kept going, and here we are. 2018 election, I made it in, and here I am, city councilman.
I am Jeff Struble, and I've been on the Apache Junction City Council since 2017, just finished up my second year. Just saw the need for somebody to come in and serve on boards and commissions. started working with the state of South Dakota in Pierre at the Capitol, with Department of Transportation, and then moved over to the Department of Health. But then I took on a position in Harlowton, Montana as the Chief Financial Officer at a small rural healthcare facility, a hospital, nursing home, and medical clinic. Thought I could use my wisdom and knowledge and experiences to serve on the city council, and ran twice before and was finally elected in 2016.
So I ran for council, was eventually successful, did a 4-year term, and then was off the council for 3 years, appointed to a vacant seat, ran, and was elected to council then. Well, what started it was the fact that a veteran didn't have one place they could go for help, whether it's help with problems at the VA or the clinics or paperwork or whatever it happened to be. And so when Mike presented the idea, he came to me and asked me if the city would support that, which of course we do. And then we started looking for a place for the vet center to be. And we've had a lot of veterans walk through the door to keep track of people come in, they sign in, and as you look around the vet center, you know, there's plenty of things here. There's job referrals, like I say, food, clothing, whatever a veteran might need, or their family. We do the families as well.